Tonight, learn how to protect your pets against rabies.
Plus, new art has come to Troy. Stay tuned, Troy. TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the High Definition Digital Production Center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for June 26, 2012. I'm Bailey Majors.
And I'm Caitlin Crow. Thank you for joining us this evening. The recent discovery of a rabid raccoon at the Northview Trailer Park in Troy has raised concerns over the possibility of other infected animals in the area. As Deatra Montgomery learns, it is a good idea for pet owners to make sure their animals are protected.
Another name for a dog is a man's best friend due to their loyal and protective instincts, and one young Troy resident experienced that protection when she encountered a rabid raccoon.
A little kid was attacked by a raccoon. The dog actually got in between the kid and the raccoon and really saved the kid from getting hurt any worse than it was. So the dog's kind of a little hero here.
Rabies is a virus that can be carried in any warm-blooded animal. The virus is carried in the salivary gland and attacks the nerves. It can also prove deadly.
It is 100% fatal. So once an animal is active with rabies and bites someone, that person may contract rabies and will die in 10 days.
Pets are required to go to their local animal clinic for rabies shots to protect themselves and the community.
Once a year, rabies vaccinations, there's a small cost associated with those, and you have to get it from your veterinarian. So it's very important that you get prompt medical attention. With the dogs and the cats, we vaccinate those guys, and they develop a really good immune response to that, and that protects them from getting rabies.
Now that we know the facts about rabies, how can you protect yourself and your pets?
The main thing would be is if you see a wild animal, is just leave it alone. As far as our domesticated animals, vaccination. That is the only prevention, and that is the best thing to do.
Since no one can tell if an animal has rabies, Dr. Barron advises everyone in the city and county area to stay away from unknown animals and call authorities.
You need to call animal control immediately. If you're in the city, you call the city police department. If you're in the county, you call the county sheriff's department. Ask for animal control.
Deatra Montgomery, Troy TrojanVision News.
Pets vaccinated against rabies, but especially those who live in the area near and around Northview Trailer Park.
Art lovers of the city of Troy will be able to view a variety of fine art on display at the Johnson Center in downtown Troy. The Johnson Center for the Arts has opened an exhibit entitled Art of the State, which features the artwork of university and college professors all over the state of Alabama.
It's a very eclectic and diverse representation of different kinds of media, different kinds of subject matter. I think it gives people a very broad idea of the different disciplines that are taught within our university system here in the state.
We have some great artwork going on throughout the state in these university art departments, so we love to have that on our walls.
Of the 40 works of art put on display at the Johnson Center, 3 belong to professors of art at Troy University.
Russell Everett, Beverly Leach, and Sarah Dismuke. They are represented in the exhibit, as well as people from other universities all over the state.
I was very excited when I was chosen to be part of this exhibit, and what I think is great about the exhibit is it travels to different venues throughout the state.
Leach said that her artwork, Formation Art, was inspired by a photograph she took while hiking in Pennsylvania of a spring on a hillside.
It's about the sculptural effects that the water had on the hillside. It's more about color, shape, and texture.
The Art of the State exhibit showcases a variety of artwork from paintings and drawings to photography. And since the exhibit runs until the 27th of July, there's plenty of time to view the show.
It would be good for people to see art that has wide breadth and variety. People in different communities don't necessarily have to travel too far to see the diverse range of work by all the different professors.
They come to the Johnson Center and see these Alabama artists' work. We'd love to have you.
Once again, the Art of the State exhibit on display at the Johnson Center will be available for viewing through July the 27th.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Birmingham, the U.S. Supreme Court ruling overturning key provisions in Arizona's illegal immigration law opens the door for courts to strike down similar provisions in other states. However, supporters of immigration crackdowns say the ruling also gives states a critical role in enforcing federal law.
And in Gulf Shores, beach communities are getting ready for the upcoming July 4th holiday now that Tropical Storm Debbie is bearing down on Florida. Surf conditions already have improved enough for the cities of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach to reopen coastal waters to tourists.
And in Tuscaloosa, a grand jury has found that deadly force was justified when a sheriff's deputy shot and killed a robbery suspect in December. The Tuscaloosa News reports that Barry Neal Mullenix Jr. was killed by the Tuscaloosa County deputy on December 23rd.
Still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, Dustin Carroll will be in next in sports with all the details of the 2012-2013 Trojan football schedule.
But first, it's been a day of fast-moving developments regarding Syria. We'll have that story and more after the break.
The fallout from the violence in Syria has now spread to this summer's London Olympics. I'm Rita Nissan. That story is just ahead.
At the heart of what we do in the College of Business is care for the student.
It's a personal thing with the students. We feel like the students are our most important asset, our most important products.
I have never been anywhere where I've known so many students on first-name basis. They stop by socially to talk to.
So we understand who our students are, and we're trying to help them be better in their areas of professional work.
My colleagues and I work together to create programs that our students need.
What we try to do at Troy University is provide an experience to students that not only provide the curriculum that allows them to be successful in the business world, but we also try to expand their horizons to reach greater opportunities that maybe they didn't think they were capable of before.
From the high-definition digital production studios of Troy University, you're watching the award-winning TrojanVision Nightly News.
And now for a look at what's happening across the nation and around the world, we'll go to Caitlin Crow at the Global News Desk. Caitlin?
Thanks, Bailey. It's been a day of fast-moving developments regarding Syria. Rita Neeson has the latest from London.
Heavy gunfire and explosions rocked Damascus in what's said to be the worst violence in the Syrian capital since the uprising against President Bashar al-Assad began 16 months ago. The fighting didn't stop Assad from swearing in a new government, but many consider his appointment of hardline loyalists a sign that his proposed reforms are just empty promises. Neighboring Turkey is threatening forces loyal to Assad after Syria shot down one of its warplanes. Turkey's prime minister said Syrian troops who approach its border may now be attacked. That warning came as NATO condemned the downing of the Turkish plane at an emergency meeting.
We consider this act to be unacceptable.
The Syrian crisis is even coming into play at the upcoming Summer Olympics here in London. British Prime Minister David Cameron has promised to let 10 Syrian athletes compete, but there are reports the head of the Syrian Olympic Committee has been banned from attending the Games.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice also weighed in on the crisis, telling CBS this morning the U.S. should arm the Syrian rebels.
I do believe that you're probably ultimately going to have to arm the opposition, maybe even today, because people are being armed. Assad is being armed by the Russians and by the Iranians.
Rice called Russia's support of Assad a 19th century view of foreign policy centered around intimidating your neighbors. Rita Nissan for CBS News, London.
Florida's governor has declared a state of emergency as Tropical Storm Debbie lingers in the Gulf of Mexico. The storm is already bringing destructive weather to the state. Drew Levinson reports from Tampa.
Natalie Bickford put on a life jacket and hopped in a canoe to get to her house in Clay County, Florida.
It just came up so fast.
Floods in her neighborhood are only a few feet from record highs, and forecasters predict more rain from Tropical Storm Debbie.
If that takes place, this will be a type of event that this area has never seen.
The water is knee-high in Pasco County, where kids are using inner tubes to get up their street. There's a mandatory evacuation in some areas.
You have no power, you're traipsing in all this water.
Last night about 2 in the morning, I looked out the window and it looked like a river going by, and I got my wife up. I said, oh, this is serious.
In Marion County, all the rain opened up sinkholes near a group of townhomes. The floods extend as far south as Tampa. The water from Tampa Bay flooded Bayshore Boulevard as well as other local streets. The driver of this car couldn't make it through and had to leave the vehicle right where it is. When you look at this water here, what goes through your mind?
I'm pretty much on pins and needles. I mean, I just try to, just kind of keep a close eye on it and get the sandbags close by.
A female manatee became trapped near the boulevard Monday and died. 2 other manatees stuck close to her side until wildlife officials removed the dead animal. The slow-moving storm is stalled in the Gulf of Mexico. It's expected to make landfall as early as tonight and could bring up to 2 feet of rain in some parts of Florida. Drew Levinson, CBS News, Tampa.
Mitt Romney is in the critical battleground state of Virginia attacking the president's health care reform law ahead of the Supreme Court ruling. President Obama is raising money in Atlanta and Miami and going after his Republican challenger's business record. Danielle Nottingham is in Washington with the story.
Mitt Romney headed to the battleground state of Virginia Tuesday, stopping at a Roanoke construction company. He's gearing up for Thursday's Supreme Court ruling on the president's health care reform law.
If Obamacare is not deemed constitutional, then the first 3.5 years of this president's term will have been wasted on something that has not helped the American people.
Romney promised he'd repeal health care if the court lets it stand, then went on to hammer the president on the economy.
If there's ever been a president of the United States that has not given a fair shot to the middle-income families of America, it is President Obama, and that's why he is going to be replaced in November.
The president has launched a new line of attack on Mitt Romney's business record with TV commercials in 3 key battleground states, including Virginia.
Does Virginia really want an outsourcer-in-chief in the White House?
The Romney camp says the ads confuse outsourcing with offshoring, a business practice that puts support staff in foreign countries to sell U.S. products. But the president pressed his point fundraising in Atlanta Tuesday.
We don't need somebody who's a pioneer in offshoring or outsourcing. We need a president in the White House who's going to every single day be fighting to bring jobs back to the United States. Do some insourcing.
The president said he is the candidate who will bring jobs back to the U.S. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Washington.
And that wraps things up from the Global News Desk. Now back to you, Bailey.
Thank you, Caitlin. And now Dustin Carroll joins us for a look at sports. So, Dustin, I hear that there's some news about the 2013 Trojan football schedule.
That's right, Bailey. We're still over 2 months away for the start of the 2012 season, but there's already news coming out about the 2013 season, and I'll get into that right now.
Sounds good.
The 2012 season hasn't even started, but the Trojan football team is already making plans for the 2013 season, which will end up being the 2nd straight season with 6 home games for the Trojans. Troy announced today that Alcorn State will visit Troy on September the 7th, 2013, as Troy's 4th non-conference opponent in the season, along with Ole Miss and Mississippi State on the road and UAB at home to open the season. The Trojans will also host 4 Sun Belt Conference games in 2013. South Alabama will make its first visit to Veterans Memorial Stadium, while 3 other conference opponents will be announced at a later date due to the shuffling of league members. Troy will play South Alabama every year as its permanent league opponent.